A mother's love, caring, nurturing, and protective. A mother's love is innate and forms the emotional and psychological fabric for a child. As a baby's first connection in the world, the mother provides that first secure bond. To forsake one's duties as a mother to love her children is to ignore one's inherent human instincts. So when I read the story about Sei and his mother Seiko, I had expectations of a certain warmth and security in their relationship. But upon reading Trail of Blood, all I feel is an unsettling dread. Trail of Blood is a coming-of-age story of a boy named Sei reaching adolescence, as Oshimi Shuzo explores the relationship of Sei with his mother, and how that affects his interactions with the rest of his family and the outside world with his classmates. Sei lives a typical life. He has a family with a working dad and a stay-at-home mom. He lives in a normal suburban house and has a normal social life as a student. All part of an average childhood. Nothing that really stands out. In these scenes of the mundane, how does Oshimi Shuzo instill such a disturbing eeriness? Oshimi Shuzo's unique artistic style and narrative choices allow him to create a cinematic thriller that I can't seem to put down. Today we'll be following the Trail of Blood, diving deeper into how Oshimi Shuzo masterfully uses these artistic techniques to build tension and horrify the viewer. But first, if you haven't read Trail of Blood yet, here's a spoiler warning for the rest of the video. This story is best experienced coming in blindly, and I highly recommend reading at least the first 6 chapters to get a full first impression. Ready? Let's begin. The first thing that struck me was Shuzo's art style, heavy with hatching on the characters using minimal tone. Using hatching, Oshimi Shuzo plays with the lighting like a director of a noir movie, but with ultra stylized hatch lines instead of whole blocks of black. Shuzo modifies the lighting brilliantly by capturing gradients of value in light and dark through line. Shuzo uses negative white space and thin line width for the brightest lights, and high density hatching to capture drama in the darkest blacks. Tender looks are shown brightly with lots of white space, contrasting to moments of terror, making use of heavy hatching layered on facial features. Shuzo's art has a way of making you feel that something isn't right about a picture. The simple use of hatching to add shadows to outline the form of the characters is a big contributor to the ominous feeling that adds a sense of mystery, slowly building up tension until it boils over. For the first 5 chapters, Shuzo sets the tone of the story with the core family and the extended family. It's here that we get a glimpse of normal life. As Shuzo introduces the characters, the values are quite bright. They're almost glowing with thin lines in contrast to dark areas of hatching that frame them. Everything is calm and peaceful. As we see Seiko interact with others, she's the typical chipper mom, always with a serene smile. But there is some teasing over her being a little too overprotective. But overall, nothing seems to be out of the ordinary. It's not until the family's trip in the forest where we truly see the motherly facade of Seiko starting to show cracks. Seiko is initially teased for being too overprotective of her son when Shigeru, the cousin of Sei, pretends to push Sei near a cliff. Later, Shigeru is in the same situation as he stumbles next to a higher cliff. But luckily, Seiko gets there in time to save him. What she does next is something that can only be described as cold-blooded. This inciting event is executed beautifully with the images of the wispy atmospheric sky, showing how high they are to show the true peril in falling off the rocky cliff. But the sequence afterwards in showing Sei's reaction to seeing that inhumane deed is one of my favorites in the medium of manga, because of how Shuzo uses lines to depict utter shock and distress. The erratic strokes seem chaotic, but Shuzo adds scribbled lines as if he's burning up. He uses these scribbles in heavy density in the surrounding background, and leaves the outlines surrounding the character very white, helping to develop contrasting values to give a glowing effect. This sketchy style of hatching works in giving a sense of movement in Sei, as if he's shaking uncontrollably and overwhelmed by the horror of what he's just seen. This page, even by itself, shows the complete mental state of Sei, with no words and 3 simple but evocative panels. It is here that Sei sees that there are monsters in plain sight. This is the silent terror of Trail of Blood. Trail of Blood is so effective as a psychological thriller because Shuzo is a master at building emotion and mood, especially in the place surrounding his characters, like within his establishing shots. Shuzo can easily set a different mood in each scene in the way he hatches the house. You can see the mood change in how Shuzo uses shadows to increase an ominous intensity. Putting these scenes and tracing them back to the time in the story, Shuzo establishes the house in the daytime when characters put a facade over their true selves in everyday lives and operate business as usual. Shuzo chooses to go back to the house at night in the aftermath of tense and horrific moments where the inner monstrosities of a character are revealed. For example, this shot at the beginning of the story shows the place before the inciting event. The house coming back from the forest trip after the inciting event establishes a totally different feel with the scribbles up top and silhouettes of black. You can feel the weight of what has just happened with the heaviness of the picture when comparing the exact same setting. The shadows reveal the demons inside of people, and Shuzo uses the space surrounding them to depict this. The house has been a symbol of the traditional dream of settling down and raising a family. But Shuzo manages to subvert typical and everyday aspects ingrained in our society to make the viewer feel uneasy. Like the outside of the house, we can also see the condition of the house inside that reflects the psychological state of Seiko. Throughout the story, Seiko has slowly been unraveling in her mental stability. Here's a tidy house at the onset of the story upholding the facade of a happy family, compared to later when Seiko's mental state completely breaks down. After the cliff incident, we see Seiko resist visiting Shigeru again, not wanting to see him and his family. In chapter 19 and 20, Sei comes home and overhears a conversation between his parents. Sei hears about Seiko's trapped feelings of isolation within the family, as she alienates herself away from her husband and the rest of the family, refusing to visit the hospital as she expresses her possessive nature over her son. Seiko wants to get away and bring Sei with her. But is this motherly love, or an obsession with control in her life as she faces the consequences of her actions? It is in the light of day where we start to see her veneer of stability crack. It is here that the wolf bares her fangs with an unhinged smile. The light brings subtle shadows to camouflage the malice struggling to break free. To contrast with the brightness of the panels in the daytime, the night brings the true nature of Seiko in the dark. It's in these later bouts of malice where Shuzo subverts the classic mother-child relationship. Sei comes home from a hospital visit to Shigeru after Seiko's insistence to not see the family, so she questions him on his whereabouts. After Seiko hears the obvious, she curses her husband and her in-laws, and brings up getting away with her son again. For the majority of the story, we've known who the culprit was from the point of view of Sei. When Sei finally has to confront this issue and his mother, the revelation of the full malevolence of Seiko is executed in the crosshatched shadows of Shuzo's gripping art style. Sei chokes under the smothering of his mother figuratively and literally as he's babied and played like a puppet throughout the story. This scene exemplifies the true relationship between Sei and Seiko, and the truth is revealed in the dark. When Sei finally stands up for himself and pushes Seiko away, Seiko uncovers her true self, broken and unremorsefully destructive. The obscurity of her appearance shows her true monstrosity as Seiko is just a silhouette of cross-hatching, reaching out, choking her baby boy, snuffing out life nonchalantly. with the flick of a switch, the light returns. It's back to her act. The serene smile of Seiko, shown in mundane moments that remains consistent with moments of madness, helps to develop the theme of brokenness in a facade of a happy family and functioning society. Using line, Trail of Blood shines a light on monsters in plain sight by hatching the shadows of its characters to its deepest black. And with that, we wrap up our video. If you found this content helpful, please consider leaving a thumbs up below and subscribing if you want to watch more content on creating comics and manga. If you want to follow my other social media pages and work, the links are in the description. Finally, if you have any suggestions for future videos you'd like to see, please feel free to comment below. I'll see you guys next time.